Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm here today to talk about some of the most common, frequently asked questions that I get and trends going on right now in the animal wellness field in general. There's quite a few things going on, and I know that there'll be lots of questions about those, so I'm going to try and answer them before they happen because I end up getting a lot of repeat questions, so it's nice to have a reference somewhere. Okay, the most common issues that I see are separation anxiety or generalized anxiety in typically dogs and cats. It's not as common in horses because I find the animals that are in our houses all the time and around our energy all of the time tend to pick it up more, and because anxiety in the population has increased dramatically, almost doubled in the last 10-15 years, that it has in our pets as well, and that's caused a number of issues in relation just to that. Anxiety causes digestive issues, it causes stress, which is skin, and stress, it can cause ulcers, it can cause toxicity issues when your body's so stressed out that you can't process things properly and things like that. Typically for separation anxiety, I do a combination of acupressure and flower essences, because the acupressure is once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the flower essences is on a continual basis, and I find that the two of them work together really, really well to greatly reduce or eliminate the symptoms or indicators of separation anxiety. The second most common issue I see is diet related. And again, 96% of pet owners feed kibble. So those little brown tiny kernels are in the majority of pets around the world. And I have talked numerously about kibble and how it's made and how bad it is for you. But ultimately, it's going to take a very, very long time before the percentage of raw and homemade feeders gets bigger than 4%. But pets that eat kibble tend to have lots of skin issues because the food is dry and it has a very low moisture content, and most pet owners do not supplement with anything else. They just feed straight kibble. There's no chicken, broth, vegetables, fresh things, nothing. And that's a lot of skin issues, that's a lot of bone and joint issues, that's a lot of just a whole bad whack of everything basically builds up in the liver and kidneys. They have issues that way, and it does not bode well. The third issue, which seems like it shouldn't be one, is exercise. So many people that I know and that have pets do not exercise their pets regularly. Now, it's fine if you miss a day here and there because, it's really cold, or you were out all day and you come back and it's pouring rain and your dog doesn't like the rain. Or it's snowstorm, or it's minus 30. We get that here in Canada quite a bit. In the summer, there was a few days where it was plus 30 something, and Kai does not do well in the heat, so we do little tiny walks in the backyard when it's that hot. But if your dog does not get exercised, you will experience things like obesity, heart conditions, agitation, which then causes skin issues. They can chew furniture in your house. They can dig through floors, and I've seen this happen. And it's all because they don't get exercised. And you say, well, my dog's neurotic, what do I do? I said, how many times do you exercise your dog? And they say, well, he gets a walk once in a while. Like, that's a high energy breed. They need to be out at least twice a day, or one really, really long one, and playtime interspersed in the day, because that's not enough for what your animal needs. And cats do need playtime too. So don't think just because most of them don't like going outside that they don't need playtime as well. This is a huge time of year for skin issues because we're in a transitional period. As the weather goes from summery to fall, this is when the metal element we're transitioning into the middle time of year, which is autumn, and this is the lung and large intestine. So there's a lot of skin issues. The change in moisture affects the immune system and things like that, because in traditional Chinese medicine, these two organs need moisture. And while it does get damper at this time of year, there's a lot of environmental changes. In the environment in the fall, there's a lot more mold when all the leaves come down, and that greatly affects the lungs and respiratory system. There's also bigger gatherings of kids, obviously because of school, and this is where they bring all the germs back, and then they're carrying them into their houses where their pets are, and there's a lot more cold and flu type indicators. But the acupressure changes at this time of year are really noticeable in specific pets, the older ones, the ones with depressed immune systems. And I like to do acupressure on Kaya, usually a span of 2 weeks, one before and one after the equinox or solstice. I was going to remember the other word. Because it helps her energetically transition between seasons. I should probably be doing it on myself too, but she gets more TLC than I do. Now, I know there's this big thing going around about the ticks, the fleas and ticks, chewables and topicals that are causing seizures. Now, I read the FDA warning about it, and all the drugs that cause it are in the isoxazoline class. Now, this includes NexGard, Bravecto, which are the most common ones, and one called Simparica, which I've never seen before. But it claims that it's safe if your dog does not have a history of neurological problems, but they're missing the point. The most obvious thing is that you're literally giving your dog a pesticide that's supposed to stay in their system so that if they get fleas or ticks get into their system, that it will suffocate and kill them. Well, it's also suffocating and killing the cells and healthy things that are in your pet's body, and that's why they're developing all the neurological issues. So think carefully, ask your vet if they don't know. Find a holistic vet to ask, because I've now seen about 5 cases in as many weeks. So do be careful of that, because a lot of them are young dogs, 2, 3. They have their whole lives ahead of them. And right now they're having motor issues, balance issues, and most of them seizures. So do be careful about that. The last is that marijuana is going to be legal in Canada as of tomorrow. Hooray for a lot of people who need access to medicinal marijuana. But CBD oil is going to be an even bigger thing that pets, after people get it out of their system, then they'll look more at applying it for pets. But CBD oil has been found to do a lot of amazing things. It has the same benefits as it does for people, but specifically for senior dogs that have arthritis, those that have injuries that are healing, if they have inflammation in their joints. Pain is a big thing, especially for older dogs if they have, enlarged organs like kidney or spleen that are too toxic and they have to flush it out. That can be painful sometimes. Joints, skin issues, seizures, definitely it helps with seizures, and generalized anxiety. So again, be careful, look into and ask your holistic vet about different types of CBD oil. There's a few different, I want to say flavors, but types. There's different concentrations of different additives into it, and be careful about that. But that's all I have to say about the generalized trends. Next week, we are going to be talking about laminitis, which if you don't know what it is, then you should definitely watch the video next week. But I hope you are staying warm now that the weather has finally turned, and I will see you next Tuesday.